What's up guys, OpTic is here bringing you a video. This is going to be another pro tip video, and this is going to be my top 5 tips on how to make your practice more effective. Now, this video is more directed at esports teams, and again, I'm going to be focusing on Gears of War, but it can be applied to other games because these are a lot more generalistic tips. Tip number 1, when you go into practice, you need to set goals. And what I mean by that is you need to establish with your team what you're aiming to accomplish during that practice. You don't want to go into practice and just play for the sake of playing. You want to go in knowing, okay, today we're going to work on our communication, or we're going to work on our strategy on a certain map, or we're going to work on swapping spots, or whatever the case may be. I don't know what you're working on, but you need to have everybody on the same page, because that's going to help everybody have a similar understanding of the lesson that they're learning from that practice. And it's good to plan this out ahead of time, but you don't have to write it down in detail. You just have to have a general idea of going, okay, like this is what we're working on. All right. Tip number 2 is going to be to review your replays from practice. Now, a lot of people skip out on this part, especially in console shooters. And basically, the importance of this is this allows you to go back and watch what you did. All right, see where those mistakes were, both as an individual and as a team. And you'll be able to take a lot more out of your scrimmages and your practices if you go back and watch the footage. It's why it's such a common practice in both esports and traditional sports. You will see things that you didn't see in the heat of the moment, and you'll go, oh, okay, I could have done this there instead of that, or we could have rotated here instead of there. So always go back and watch the replays from your practices. Tip number 3 is to know the difference between an individual practice and a team practice. Now, this might be kind of a new concept to some of you, but to me, a team practice is going to be a practice where you're going over strategies and how to execute those. You're going over your communication and chemistry as a team, and things like that, where you have to have all of your roster there in order to actively participate in this kind of practice. It's about working on the whole of the group rather than individuals. Whereas individual practice is going to be where you work on things like movement, and you work on things like gun skill and game mechanics. For Gears of War, for example, weapon sliding or things like that. That's where you're going to work on that kind of stuff, is in your individual practice. And it's important to kind of know the difference between the two. Like, obviously you always want to be improving yourself individually while improving with the team. That's true. But there's going to be a different attitude towards individual practice and team practice. So what do I mean by that? In your individual practice, you can do that anywhere. You can do that in a public match. You can do that in a ranked match, as long as you have that mindset of, I'm working on my movement, or I'm working on landing all of my shots, because you're setting that goal and then you're going and you're trying to do it individually. Team practice, you have to have the whole team. You have to have the right atmosphere. You can't just go into a game as the full team and have the other team not be competitive and get the same out of it, So know the right environment and practice based on what you have as your environment. Some things that a lot of people skip out on in individual practice are the things that I mentioned, like your gun skill. There are also things like reaction time that you can work on an individual basis. There's things like anger management and, honestly, mindfulness, which are kind of more psychological concepts, but they're really important in esports, and especially in competitive for the players, because being able to control your emotions and control your feelings while you're in the heat of the moment will help you have better focus on your gameplay. And mindfulness will give you a better sense of self and a better ability to recognize when you're starting to lose that focus and kind of re-snap yourself into it. So those are things you can practice on an individual basis. Tip number 4 is to take breaks. Guys, there's no reason to be playing for 7 hours or 8 hours straight. You're not going to get anything out of it. The average human attention span, I believe, is like 9 or 10 seconds. So the fact that you're practicing and grinding for 7 hours straight is ridiculous. You're going to start having fatigue. You're going to have eye fatigue. You're going to have your motor senses having fatigue, and you're going to start just struggling to actually retain information. When you're practicing at a full level, when you're fully involved mentally and physically in the practice, you're going to feel tired afterwards. It's that same feeling when you play a tournament from beginning to end, all the way to the grand finals. The last match is a really intense match and you feel physically exhausted. That's what you should be training for when you're practicing. Think about when you go to the gym, right? You don't lift weights that are easy to lift just over and over and over and over again, because you're not going to feel that healthy burn that they talk about. You're trying to make your muscles stronger by doing a more intense workout. That's the same thing that you need to be doing in esports. You need to be training your mind and training your habits to be able to handle with that kind of long-term stress and that long-term attention span and focus. So you need to be paying attention to that and slowly working towards that. If it takes you an hour and then you are just completely tired because you're training optimally, then take a break. That's a great time to take a break. And there's things that you can do in those breaks. You can go get a cold water. You can go get fresh air. You can go wash your face, take a shower, just sit and relax and chill for 15 minutes. Whatever you have to do to take a break that helps you kind of just digress and mellow out, and then you can come back and refocus yourself. Tip number 5, and the last tip of this list, is going to be stay healthy. Drink plenty of water and stay hydrated when you're practicing. Don't be a stereotypical gamer. This is not about chugging soda and Mountain Dew and Doritos. This is about being healthy, and by being healthy in body, you'll be healthier in mind and able to better perform. So drinking water and staying hydrated during practice is really important. Follow an intelligent sleep schedule. We have a circadian rhythm for a reason. It's actually scientifically not healthy to not be following that kind of rhythm and be staying up until God knows what hour. And keep a healthy diet. Like I said, a strong body means a strong mind. So following these tips will help you improve your team practice and your individual practice. So I'd highly recommend it for any of you aspiring pros or even current pros out there who are watching this video. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. As always, if you enjoyed it, leave the thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments below what tips you would give to somebody who is trying to improve their practice habits in esports or any sport. And if you enjoyed the video and you enjoy me, you can go down here and click subscribe. I really appreciate the support, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.